when I read Roxy Carmichael for the first time. I was starting to wonder what beyond doing parodies would make sense for me and where I'd feel comfortable. And I didn't grow up learning about film. I certainly never learned how to direct except, as we were making movies. That was my only education. And I got comfortable certainly with making parodies and silly stuff. There was part of me that was wondering, well, I wonder what else I could actually do and make work and would intrigue me. Then I came across Welcome Home, Roxy Carmichael, and for many, many reasons, I was really intrigued by that script. One of the initial reasons that I was so intrigued by Roxy Carmichael is I'd become in our little world, kind of a mini celebrity. And I started to realize sort of the vacuousness of celebrity. I mean, I didn't feel better for riding in limousines or anything. None of it really made me feel better. And it started making me think about what is celebrity and what are all the myths and misconceptions about celebrity. So certainly Roxy's story appealed to me. And then I think just this whole rural Midwestern town was very intriguing to me too, because I grew up in Milwaukee, but I had spent a good deal and have spent a good deal of my life in a town called Eagle River, Wisconsin, which is in northern Wisconsin and has very much of a Clyde, Ohio feel to it. So I certainly responded to that. And then, of course, being a kind of uncomfortable teenager, that was me. I responded to a lot of Dinky and Winona's character. And even, her parents. When we did the scenes with their parents, I thought, oh gosh, this could have been my mom and dad, because they had no clue how screwed up I was. More than anything else, I think what I responded to in the script of Roxy Carmichael was Jeff Daniels' part. One of the lines I added to the script was, you only fall in love the first time once. And that's because I remember falling in love the first time, and it was such a wonderful period in my life, and it never happened like that again. So when I read Roxy Carmichael, there was much of it that I really glommed onto and responded to, and I thought, well, maybe, I could do a story like this.
It's because it's a special day and the start of a special week, and being that here in Clyde we honor the dead and the living, especially if we haven't seen them in 15 years, I hereby proclaim this Roxy Carmichael Week.
Well, Mally Finn is great, and she's a amazing casting director. She was, and I worked with her several times, and she said, look, I can bring in every actor in town, or I can bring in the best 4 or 5 of the best actors for these parts. She brought in some great characters. Lila Robbins was terrific. But I think of all, from the whole casting experience, the one moment that sticks in my mind most was Jeff Daniels. And we had sort of cast the part with a really good actor, but Jeff actually came in and said he wanted to read for the part. Jeff Daniels wanted to read for the part, so he came in and he read. I'd have to say, in my directing experience, I'd never seen anything like that. He was so brilliant and so perfect and so effortless in reading the part. It was like stunning to me. And there was one scene that he does when his wife and family are leaving him on the front, in their front yard, and he kind of has to crumple down to his knees and he cries, and I said, cut. And then I went up to him and I said, how did you do that? Where do you have to go to cry like that? And he said, I don't want to tell you.
What did she do that was so great, huh? I mean, what was it about her? I want to know what it was about Roxy Carmichael that made you not give a shit about anything else.
I didn't know. I swear to God, I thought it was over. I thought it was over.
I had spent a lot of time in this town called Eagle River, Wisconsin. And somebody from Eagle River, Wisconsin moved to Los Angeles, and what he said to me is that in this small town, Midwestern town, when somebody says to you, how are you doing? They really mean it. So whatever that Midwestern flavor was, I was very anxious to capture that in Roxy. So the actors who came in, we always sort of went there and with the earnestness of going there. This is not to say, there aren't all sorts of, and I think you see all the, like petty jealousies and all that kind of stuff in fantasies about celebrity. But whatever that underlying small town America value is, I think we were really anxious to capture. So we filmed a lot of the stuff in Clyde, Ohio, which was the town in the script. We went there. So when you film in Los Angeles, if you want to film in somebody's yard or in their front yard or something, you go and you knock on the door and you say, I would like to put a camera here or there, and they'll say, okay, it'll cost you this or that, or how many thousands of dollars will you pay me to do that? So we actually were in Clyde, and there was one shot we were doing, and the hedge of somebody's house was just a little too high. So somebody from the crew went and knocked on the door of the person whose hedge was a little too high and said, would you mind if we just cut down your hedge like 6 inches? And the woman said, yeah, sure, that's fine. And then we filmed the shot, and then she came out and said, how much do I owe you for trimming my hedge? And I think that was sort of the essence of Clyde. It was so Midwestern and untainted by the pseudo glamour of the movie business. We filmed in Clyde. I don't remember a lot of the exteriors. We filmed in a town just north of Los Angeles, a small community just north of Los Angeles for a lot of it. We actually filmed, Dinky's Ark in Clyde. I think it was like 50% of the shooting took place there and 50% in the LA area.
Oh, yeah, I'm right there. Hey, Melvin? Dave, don't be such a cliche. Dave, try to be a cut above.
Production design, we made sure to make it look Midwest, and we made sure to make it look small town. But all the rest was very much in the script. Again, it's what everybody projected on Roxy's celebrity. And ultimately, I think that's to the extent the movie resonates with people, it's that how we all sort of react to celebrity and how false celebrity really is. What's always struck me with the movie business is when you get to work every day, how much time is spent lighting and how much time is spent shooting. And Paul was not only very good and with lighting and stuff, he was pretty swift, he was pretty quick. He was also very helpful in designing shots. I think there's a scene where Jeff Daniels is parked out in front of Roxy's house, and Dinky comes up on her bike next to him, and they start a conversation, and then Jeff tries to pull off, and Dinky pulls up next. It's all in one shot, and it's a pretty nifty shot. And he helped design a lot of shots like that that really made my job easier.
Roxy was gonna have a baby.
She was?
Yeah, our baby.
Your baby?
Yeah,
Your child?
mine and Roxy's.
What do you mean was? I mean, didn't Roxy have the baby?
Oh, yeah, she had it all right, just 3 months early, that's all.
3 months?
Yeah.
You mean it was premature?
I mean, it was real premature. See, Roxy wasn't any good at math. Even though she did win the Hubert Hammerman Award for Excellence in Algebra in the 80s.
So did I.
Great, yeah? Still, I think the baby had to have been 7 months and 12 days old instead of 6 months and 12 days old. I mean, it looked normal to me.
One thing I remember is her mom was on the set quite a bit, and her mom said to me, never loosen the reins on your child and expect to get it back. And I thought about that for many years. I hadn't started a family. I remember that, and I remember Winona being just fun and professional and very Dinky, and all of her takes on who Dinky was and how she behaved resonated with me, and I thought she was kind of wonderful. I hadn't seen Winona for about 20 years after we made the movie, and I was in the hospital with leukemia. I was bedridden and bald and all that because they were doing chemo and all that kind of stuff. And one day, Winona walked into my hospital room. She wandered, unbeknownst to me or her, she wandered into my hospital room doing community service. And that's the last time I saw Winona. And she was great then.
She keeps saying she's leaving today. She keeps saying her mom's coming here to get her.
Her mom? Who's her mom?
She says her mother's Roxy Carmichael.
What, she what? Wait a minute, she thinks Roxy is her mother?
Yeah. What?
No, it's between me and Dinky.
If it's got something to do with Dinky, I want to know.
You really care about Dinky?
Yeah, more than anything.
Okay, you go out and you do something real special for her. Buy her some flowers. Buy her a box of candy. Something, 'cause she's gonna need something.
So I think Kieran's script very much directed how Roxy was going to be portrayed in the movie. So we would know that she was for real, and obviously she was beautiful. But other than that, we wanted to let the audience learn about Roxy from the Clyde people's experience of Roxy. And again, what they've projected on her celebrity, her effect on their community. But that was all very much in the script, that we would just get a hint of Roxy. One of the things I thought most about since making Roxy was what would have happened if, when Roxy didn't show up at the Roxy Carmichael ball, if instead of just sent a limo with a note saying she couldn't make it, if she had really elaborated on why she couldn't make it. And in a way, it would address each of the main participants in the movie's projections on who Roxy was and what celebrity is really about. Celebrity is pretty vacuous, and I think that's indicative of celebrity and who Roxy was. I think in the way that Roxy is shot in the movie, it kind of sucks the audience into the same fantasies that the Clyde people have. The only thing that's not just sort of generic about seeing Roxy in the movie. At one point when we cut away to her, she opens a drawer and there are pictures of hers from being a girl in Clyde, Ohio. So you really get that she does have some sort of feelings about being there. I mean, at the end of the day, again, we leave it up to the audience to figure out why she didn't show up. But it's clear that part of why that she did have feelings about Clyde, and she somehow chickened out.
Roxy Carmichael will not be able to attend her very own ball and dedication services due to circumstances beyond her control.
I knew it.
She has, however, sent a dedication plaque and requests that we enjoy the evening without her.
One of the most magical things for me about movie making is scoring, because when a movie is being scored, they actually translate feelings that you'd like the audience to feel into music. So we do it in word and picture, but then whoever scores it translates those feelings into music, and it's kind of magical. You can even say occasionally when you're scoring to the and I remember doing this with Tommy, saying, you know, could it be a little more tense here or something? And so he would say, and he'd go and he'd change a couple bars, and there it would feel a little more tense. He was wonderful, and he really captured sort of the, I don't want to say eccentricity, but the unusual nature of Clyde. He wasn't a usual score. You know, Tommy is so talented, and he has such a unique musical ability that his ability matched perfectly with the flavor and feeling of Clyde, Ohio, and what that movie was.
I'm sorry, Dinky.
Don't be.
No, I am. I didn't know. I didn't know she was that real for you.
She's no more real for me than she is for you.
Dinky!
I don't remember who suggested Melissa Etheridge, but I distinctly remember her coming in and watching the movie without any music on it. And she came back 2 days later with her band, and she had written In Roxy's Eyes and the song I Don't Care What You See, You Don't Have to Look at Me. She wrote them in 2 days, and she came back with her guys. She had 3 or 4 guys in her band, and they recorded them, and she disappeared, and she went away. And it was like, that was magical too, just to see her and meet her and just watch her doing this recording, and then putting her recording up with a picture was just like thrilling. Roxy Carmichael was the only movie in my career where distribution wasn't set up. And I don't remember who the financiers were, but they were willing to gamble and make the movie without having distribution in place. It was fine while we were making the movie, but then when we were done with it, while we were trying to find, or they were trying to find distribution, it was very awkward because as a director, I was kind of used to working on a movie and then being done with it and then saying goodbye. But there was a pretty long, maybe a year after we were done with it, before Roxy actually came out. You know, a movie's like a kid a little bit, your own kid, and not to be able to let go and say goodbye was very uncomfortable for me. One of the places we went to was Paramount, and I had a very good relationship with Paramount. I'd worked at Paramount a bunch, and I was close to Jeffrey Katzenberg. So we showed it to Jeffrey, and he said no. So that was kind of awkward. Eventually, they found distribution and got out there, and I think it's had a very nice but quiet life.
I guess it's gonna take a little time, huh?
Yeah.
Watch it, Gerald. It's not that easy. You got a lot of work to do. So do I.
It's crazy how often stuff like that happens, where somebody, and especially with Roxy, where somebody will come up and will say how affected they were with, and how Dinky, you know, how they identified with Dinky. You know, that's a very awkward age, I think, for teenagers, but teenage girls in particular, and how they, you know, they got some strength and empathy from Dinky. And I think that comes up all the time. It's crazy because when you make a movie, you know, you really do, okay, now I'm done and let's go on with life. But people don't see it when you make it. They may see it when it comes out or years later. It's one of the great thrills of movie making, to tell you the truth. And certainly it has been with Roxy.